1.2 million people aged over 65 are socially isolated and lonely. Further to that, in aged care, 40% of them never get a visitor.
Never get a visitor?
Yeah. In 2024, social isolation and loneliness cost our health system $900 million. That figure is predicted to blow out to $10 billion by 2050.
I'm Anthony Nguyen. Join us as we change the narrative around aged care, one story at a time. Welcome back to the Pioneers in Aged Care podcast. Here we have Julie Hogarth Williams, the CEO of the SeniorsChannel. Thank you so much, Julie, for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I really am excited to be here.
I'm excited to talk about the SeniorsChannel. Before we go into this one, I want to say a quick thank you to Mark Ryu and the Australian Aging Agenda for choosing me as their content partner and reablement ambassador and providing the venue in which this podcast is taking place, which is in the middle of the inaugural Positive Aging Summit, where everyone is gathered to speak about the importance of reablement, in which you were a speaker.
Yes, I was.
How was that experience? Have you spoken many times before?
Not too much, like recently a bit, but no, I haven't actually. And it was a wonderful experience. I must admit I was very nervous, but I spoke with Maury Voisey-Barlin. And I guess when you're speaking about a subject that you're very passionate about, it gives you the energy to really dive in and make sure people get the message of, the topic that you're talking about.
And it seemed to be very well received. I heard really good feedback about your presentation, your session. So it's a really good vibe here.
Oh, it's, I guess the Positive Aging Summit have put the P in positive because that is actually the way to describe this event. It's just been awesome so far.
Now tell us about the SeniorsChannel. We'll start broad overview and then we'll dig into it a bit more.
Yeah. So I'll explain what it is. So the SeniorsChannel is a TV streaming platform designed for aged care and very soon seniors at home. Our whole goal is to help alleviate social isolation, loneliness and disconnection. And we're doing that through content that is interactive, it's engaging, it has conversation starters. So every piece of content there is purpose and meaning to it. And the whole goal is to help people feel more connected, even if they're watching alone.
Okay. So to give more of a starker comparison, why, if I'm a senior at home, why wouldn't I just watch Netflix, for instance?
Yeah, so with other streaming platforms, all of their content is designed to sit and watch, but it's not designed to do. So with the SeniorsChannel, we build our own content, and every piece of content has some type of an action. So it could be, there might be a sing-along, but within that sing-along, there's an instruction in the middle of it that says, raise your hands, go higher, higher, sing louder. In the trivia game, there might be, let's say there's a question about a world event, and then the follow-up question is, what street were you living on when that event happened? And if it's, if you're watching in a group, like let's say in residential aged care and everyone's there for that activity, you can press pause on the SeniorsChannel and that question can help bring people together. Often in aged care, residents are there, they don't know each other, they don't talk to each other. But if you find, shared experiences, then that helps to bring people together and build a community around them. And even if you're watching at home, it connects you to your memories. And connecting people to memories, it brings endorphins. Maybe there might be a bad memory to that, but it's okay to work through grief as well. So every single piece of content is very carefully crafted to reach the person and to bring a community around them.
I like that idea of it asking the question, because that, you know, one of my favorite things about going to like a pub,
Yeah.
like a trivia questions at the
Yeah.
pub, everyone's pitching in with their answers, and sometimes, yeah, people do have unique answers, and that
Yeah.
allows you to connect with that person later on.
Yeah.
So that really facilitates that
Do
discussion.
you know, we had a discussion last night at dinner and we were talking about trivia, and I was saying I'm really good at music trivia, but the person opposite me said, you know, well, what do you know about grunge and that type of music? And I said, actually, I know nothing. So if there's a question about that, you know, you're the guy. And then the young girl next to him said, well, what do you know about Eurovision? I said, I know nothing about Eurovision. And she said, oh, I know everything about Eurovision. So this conversation about music and what we all liked went on for quite some time. So you imagine if you put those sorts of questions as a follow-up question to different types of games that help with cognitive health, that is interactive TV viewing.
Yeah.
It's not just sitting down and watching something and falling asleep in the middle of something.
So I see the benefits and the applications in residential settings where there's a group of people watching TV. How is this applied to the home setting where they're watching mostly by themselves?
Yeah, so the way that it applies to a home setting is that it's still a lot of fun. I don't know if you know this statistic, but there is a statistic that says that 49% of seniors at home have the TV on in the background for company all day long. They don't actually watch it. It just feels like that
I can relate
there's
to that.
somebody there.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, that you might have the radio on or something, but it's actually TV. They have the TV on. But there isn't a TV streaming platform for seniors anywhere in the world. So, you know, my thought in building this was, what if we built that, but we built it so if you are going to have it on at home, you can actually engage with it. Our future plans is to have two-way live streaming on a TV screen. So we're building that technology now. And when we reach that stage, people are going to be able to see each other on the TV and talk and engage with each other, just like they do on Zoom, but on a TV screen.
Oh, fantastic.
So that's our bigger goal that, you know, we're working towards. But just back to your question. So if it's seniors at home, the Seniors Channel is good for their cognitive health. We will be partnering with allied health professionals to bring exercise physiology onto the Seniors Channel as well, so it's good for their physical health. And also, if you know, you might live in a retirement community, and you could, you know, call up your friends and say, hey, do you want to come over for a Seniors Channel party? We have happy hour on the Seniors Channel. So happy hour content where people can just turn it on and there's a sing-along and there's a trivia game and there's a sing the next line game. There's concerts, there's all these different things that people can do, and it's a way of actually bringing people into the home. But also, if somebody has other people around them, like family, you know, they can come over and they can play the trivia games together and all the other, you know, games for cognitive health.
This is fascinating. Where did this idea come about? Like, and where were you? Do you remember the moment you had this idea?
So I need to give credit to my husband. He had the idea. So my husband's name's Darren. Darren was a postie for 29 years and has recently retired. The way the idea came about was before COVID, I was a professional seniors entertainer. So I've performed about 600 concerts for aged care residents and seniors groups. During that time, I would often, you know, be called up and my concerts were cancelled because there was a lockdown. It might be a gastro or something that goes through the facility, and this was before COVID. So I was used to lockdown, you know, before COVID. And it was actually a very particular hot January day, and we lived in this tiny little place that had no air conditioning, and I was just laying on the ground. Oh my God, it was so hot. And I said to my husband, I had actually returned to a home that day that had been in lockdown for 3 months. and I was wheeling in my equipment, and a lady spied me from across the room, and she said, "Oh, thank God you're here. I haven't had a visitor since the last time you were here." And I was completely, I felt really sad about that. And I was telling my husband that story. And, I was quite teary about it. And he said, "Oh, wouldn't it be good if we could just put your concerts online so anyone could watch them anytime and they could feel connected to you and have some joy in a period of lockdown?" And I sat up, and it was just like ding. And I thought, of course we could do that. There's so much technology out there. And that was the beginning point of the journey towards the Seniors Channel. As we actually started building it and I started working out how to do it before COVID, and I went into, I have lots of lifestyle coordinators as friends. So I went and I said, "Hey, what do you think of this idea?" And I said, "Can I come and bring it?" By this time I had just put content on a website, and can I just see what people think? And we played, one of the concerts. We filmed a concert and we played one of the concerts, and it got a great, feedback from the residents. The lifestyle coordinator said, "Look, we love it, but they want to see you in person. They actually don't want to see you online," because they all loved me. And that was like, I had a very successful singing business. And anyway, so that's kind of what it's kind of sat there like that for a while, because I was booked out, show after show, years on end. And then when COVID hit, of course I lost that business within 24 hours. And those lifestyle coordinators rang me and said, "Hey, did you ever get that thing up off the ground?" So during COVID, I actually gave the seniors, not the Seniors Channel, just the concerts, because the original idea was the concerts. Then lifestyle coordinator said to me, "Do you have anything else? Like, can you put some trivia games or something on? Because we can't do anything. We can't get out." And then the thought was, oh my goodness, an entertainment and activity platform for aged care. And then, so I started working on that because I'd lost my business. So this is what I did during COVID. And then it suddenly dawned on me that, is there a TV streaming platform for seniors anywhere in the world? And to this day, I can't find one. So it kind of started with a small idea, it got a bit bigger, and now it's huge.
How fascinating that it all started with COVID. And COVID has shut so many businesses down, but it's launched so many at the same time.
It has, yeah.
And what was the point where it went from idea to sort of because I think there's still the uncertainty from bringing the idea to life, and then there's a part along the journey where it's make or break, where people go, "This is not going to work," or "This is the next thing." At what point did you go, "This, like, I've seen the results, or I've seen the benefit, or I've heard what I needed to hear," where you just went all in? Because it is scary starting your own thing.
It is.
You got to have that conviction and that belief.
Yeah.
When did you start believing? Or there probably were multiple stages along the way.
Yeah, I was about to say that. So I guess I'm lucky in a way because I had already built up a lot of contacts in the aged care industry through my singing business. And so all the way along, I have asked questions. So there's absolutely no way that I have thought that this is like the best thing since sliced bread is going to work. I guess I have always the opposite feeling, like, oh my goodness, is this going to work? But we, once we had moved along a little bit, we had to wait for that period of lockdown. We were kind of ready to go and start testing, but we had to wait a really long time. So the first thing, as soon as we could, I made a very strategic decision to go and find a provider that didn't know me from a bar of soap, because there was no point. My lovely friends kept on saying, "But come back, you can come back now and sing." And I thought, well, I need to go and ask someone that doesn't know me.
Yeah, no bias.
Yeah, so I did that. I actually went to a provider and they trialed the Seniors Channel for 3 months. And it was great because I got lots of feedback. So ultimately, the feedback was they loved the content. They didn't like the technology. So then I went back and I had to find another tech solution. Please keep in mind that I'm not a tech founder.
Yeah.
So every single thing that I do takes a long time because I have to work it out. I mean, the Seniors Channel is, I have a little small team now, but Seniors Channel has been me the whole way through. And, you know, being a startup, there's no funds to say, you know, oh, let's get a tech team. You just need to work it out for yourself. So I did do that. So I then found technology that works. So then I needed to go back and test it again. So all these things take a really long time and money. And so we tested it again. And it was good, but it still wasn't great. And so just recently we now have new technology that's working very, very well. So to answer your question, I think that I will think it's successful when I can say I can retire now.
Yeah.
I think you know, I'm a startup founder, and a bit like yourself, like you, all the way along, there's always obstacles.
That's right.
And you just need to keep overcoming those obstacles. The thing that drives me is that this statistic that 1.2 million people aged over 65 are socially isolated and lonely. And I feel compelled to do something about that. And I feel that I have found my niche and in solving that through technology. So that's what keeps me and my wonderful husband going. And we are all in, so every single cent we have is in this. And we are, you know, I guess the indication is that it will be a success. And yeah, we're completely dedicated to the Seniors Channel.
So let's go into detail about the benefits, because you're really solving social isolation.
Yeah.
Can we talk numbers, statistics, and how this directly relates to that?
Yeah. So in which context?
I guess like when people think Seniors Channel, they think, okay, that's an added activity for the seniors to get involved in. I think I want to talk more about the social isolation epidemic, or what's happening in the future with more technology coming on board to actually design to do the opposite of what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you're using that technology, but you're the other side of the coin.
Yes.
But people don't know the issue of social isolation.
Okay, so this is something that I do know quite a bit about. Around end of June this year, the World Health Organization is going to announce that social isolation and loneliness is a global health crisis. And the statistics for the elderly in Australia is that there are 4.5 million people aged over 65 in Australia. The two biggest risk factors for social isolation and loneliness is that, one, you are aged over 65, and two, that you live alone. So out of that 4.5 million, 1.2 million people live alone. So if you let that sink in.
Out of the 4.5 million,
Yeah.
1.2 million live alone.
And so the two biggest risk factors are that you're aged over 65 and that you live alone. So 1.2 million people aged over 65 are socially isolated and lonely. Further to that, in aged care, 40% of residents never get a visitor. 40%. So I think my last look at, I think there's around 188,000 people in aged care in Australia. So 40% of them never get a visitor.
Never get a visitor.
Yeah. It's shocking.
Yeah.
It's so sad. And I saw that every day. And the people that I know they all know this statistics. As far as, you know, this is social isolation and loneliness is an epidemic. And if the world does not see it as an epidemic, the rates of suicide and depression and incredible sadness will just go higher and higher and higher. In with social isolation and loneliness, it can cause major health issues. So, like heart disease, mobility issues, because people, the more lonely you become, the more you. It's like a chicken and an egg. So you become lonely, and then you become less confident. So you don't want to go out. So then you stay home, and then you become more lonely.
Yeah.
And then you're just sitting around, and you're not doing anything. So mobility. Heart disease, mobility, stroke, and unfortunately, it's an increased risk of mortality. So, in 2024, social isolation and loneliness cost our health system $900 million. That figure is predicted to blow out to $10 billion by 2050. So if we don't embrace technology to solve this problem, and we need to do it now, it's really, really important that people listen to this and that we all do something to solve it. And the Seniors Channel is, we are just one company that's trying to solve this problem. There are lots of other wonderful initiatives and tech solutions to solve social isolation, and there's a place for all of them. So yeah, that's the driving force. And I really do want to have more speaking events and to talk about this and compel governments and aged care and GPs and everyone to really hear the point that social isolation and loneliness is an epidemic.
I can see now why aged care providers should be jumping on this, if not to just provide an extra benefit or extra value to the residents and the families, the families of the residents, in that peace of mind that at least the residents are being looked after or enjoying life, then from the self-interest standpoint, because the burden through all those symptoms and risk factors that you mentioned, that would put an additional strain and burden on their resources. So if they had happier and healthier residents, then they can focus on, I guess they can reprioritize rather than spending those resources in.
Yeah, I think one of the key points for residential aged care is that something like the Seniors Channel is an additional tool for lifestyle planning. We do not want to replace a lifestyle coordinator. We truly believe that lifestyle teams need to be celebrated. They are the backbone of residential aged care, and I guess the heart. They're the people that bring meaningful engagement into aged care. So by no means do we want the Seniors Channel to be seen as, a set and forget type solution. The way that we've built it is that it's built to fit in with an activity program. With the Seniors Channel, it can go into a resident's room, so it can be, installed into a resident's TV. And the reason why that's important is that, some residents choose to stay in their room. And, when we talk about, the standards and dignity and choice, it's important that we listen. Like if they choose to stay in their room and Standard 7 says, oh, we need to build a community around residents. But what about choice? What if that resident chooses to stay in their room? Well, the Seniors Channel offers that solution because you can have the Seniors Channel on, and that is If the resident wants to watch it, that is their choice. And they still will feel part of a community because the content on there helps them to feel connected to their peers or their era or the times that they grew up, which would be similar to the other residents. And then also with the Seniors Channel, it can go on the communal TV, which means that, that the residents that are in that activity might be watching the same thing that the resident in the room is watching. So they're still feeling part of it. So that's the importance of being able to bring technology in, and something like the Seniors Channel where it can give residents choice.
What's on for the next 12 months? What's got you excited about? What's got you excited about the Seniors Channel over the next 12 months?
I'm really excited because now the Seniors Channel can go into people's homes. So we have a Amazon TV Fire Stick, and the Seniors Channel is now an Amazon app, and it can just be plugged into somebody's TV at home. So now the Seniors Channel can meet that need. Those 1.2 million people that are socially isolated and lonely, the Seniors Channel can meet that need. And we've also partnered with Geeks to You. And for those people that don't know, Geeks to You is a subsidiary of Officeworks, and they provide technicians to go into people's home. Now, predominantly their customer is the elderly. So the technicians are, I guess, experienced in being able to be patient and kind and respectful for older people that might be struggling with technology. So with that partnership, one of the technicians would come out to our customer and they would install the Seniors Channel on the TV, and then they would spend time showing them how to use it. So that's a very exciting step in our journey, because and we were talking about the obstacles before. That was one of my obstacles. I know that if we had just said, oh, we're ready for seniors at home, the majority of seniors are not going to be able to understand how to download that app and get it onto their TV. So that, having the Geeks to You partnership is a very valuable thing for our customer.
That is so exciting for someone who's not a tech founder. You've accomplished things that I would expect someone with a huge tech background to do.
I think that's what a startup founder does as their bread and butter, to be honest. I mean, I know lots of startup founders and entrepreneurs, your every single day is, okay, this is the next obstacle. How do we solve that? So I guess it's just a little bit of, some people might call it stubbornness. I call it determination. But
Stubborn determination.
Yeah. I think that, I'm of the opinion that there's no such thing as a no. It's a how. How can I? Or how can we do this? Or, there must be a way. Like, I actually never take no for an answer. Quite a bit along this journey. There's been so many people who have said to me, that's never going to work. I don't know why you're doing that. No one's going to watch that.
There's always going to be doubters.
Yeah.
That's fuel, though.
Yeah. To me, that's like a red flag to a bull. I'm like, well, you watch me.
Yeah. Again, a huge shout out to Mark Ryu and the Australian Aging Agenda for choosing me as a content partner and reablement ambassador and providing the venue in which this podcast is taking place. This is the inaugural Positive Aging Summit, where everyone is gathered to speak about the importance of reablement. So when we think of reablement, we think of physical health. So how does the Seniors Channel and social isolation fit in the theme of reablement?
There is no harm in changing the dictionary. The dictionary says that, reablement is related to physical health. I believe that when you look at reablement, you need to look at the whole person. Now, if let's say somebody breaks a hip and they get a lot of support, and there are reablement activities that are being used to get them back home, get them walking again. And then they come back home and they're feeling a little less confident on their feet. So, they begin to stay at home more because they don't want to have another fall. They've been through trauma with that hip. And so then they become more socially isolated. So why is it that, people don't look at reducing social isolation as part of the reablement journey? I feel very strongly that, and this is what I said in my keynote yesterday, that, we need to look at the whole person when it comes to reablement.
I want to get into you now. Outside of this is as a startup founder.
Yeah.
This work you're doing, which is very important,
Yeah.
is likely all-consuming.
Yes.
And even when you've got time to yourself, you're probably thinking about the
Yes.
next piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Because it is fascinating. It's really fun.
Yeah.
It's really fun. It's very stressful, but it's at the same time, two
It
sides of the coin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's so enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you do get time to yourself, what are you doing to de-stress?
Look, I love spending time with family. I have 2 adult children, 2 boys. One's 30, one's 28. So any second I can get to spend with them, I take that. And my husband and I live in a lovely home up in Brisbane, and we have 2 border collies. So I'm a bit of a border collie collector, but I need to stop. But the youngest one is my 4th border collie, and then others have just passed away over the years. So we're quite, they're our family because, all of our kids have not gone, have their own families.
Yes.
Yes, I'm very, very happy, at home with my husband and the 2 dogs.
So the family fills your cup and then you get to pour it out into your work.
Yes, well, definitely. And you're right about always thinking about it. And I've recently had to make sure I take better care of myself. So I do find it hard to switch off my brain. And the way I do that is through colouring in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I actually have found that I'm good at picking colours, and I didn't know that about myself. But somebody said to me, I was finding it hard to sleep. And they said, you need to do something that takes your brain away from thinking. And it's interesting that once I'm in this zone, I colour in, and there's lots of adult colouring in things you can get these days, so that you get like a bag that they send you and you colour it in, or a mandala that
like a colour by numbers type thing.
No. It's more they'll send you. It's actually a bag.
Yeah.
And textures.
Okay.
And then it's got like pictures on, maybe a picture of birds or flowers or something like that, and it's up to you the colors. So when I'm doing that, it's funny how I'm my biggest decision to make in that moment is what color is next, and that really helps me to I guess to not think.
Yeah, it's like meditative in a way, right?
It's really strange to explain.
Because you're still thinking, but it's a different part of your mind, the creative part.
Yeah.
And then it just flows out. Because it's not colouring for me, but I do find that certain activities just blank me out, but in the best way.
Yeah.
Even though I'm still doing something active that still requires some cognitive decision making. Yeah, that's fascinating that colouring does it. I can see how it does that.
Yeah, I was talking to someone at another conference that I spoke at, and I was chatting with her, and she said she does exactly the same thing. It's kind of and I'll often I'll do it late in the afternoon. I grab a glass of wine, and I'm just sitting there and I'm sipping my wine and I'm doing my colouring in. And my husband and I love cruising, so we went on a cruise in February, and I took my colouring in with me, and there I was with the ocean going by, and I was actually watching some little kids playing. It was really cute, and I was just colouring in, and it was very relaxing.
What about the singing? How did you get into that? What type of songs, genre?
So how I got into that is actually funny. So I've always been able to sing, but I didn't do anything with it. And it was, again, Darren, my husband, we met at a karaoke pub.
Oh,
years
really?
ago. Yeah. And the story is
You
that
serenaded him.
no, quite the opposite actually. So I had put a song down to sing and I was just waiting for my turn. And next thing there's this man up there singing my song. And, you know, I'm a little bit competitive. So he got off stage and I said, "You took my song." And he was like, "What?" You know, like I had the song down. And I said, "Well, I had that song down." And I stormed off and I didn't like him at all. I was like, he took my song. So I saw him for like 3 months and I was like, oh, that's that guy that took my song. I don't like him. So I held this grudge for a while. And then there was a competition. So it was at a different venue. We kind of had these mutual friends. And I didn't ever, I didn't speak to him, but I would see him all the time. Anyway, I went to this karaoke competition and there he was sitting there with those people that I knew and there was only one seat left and it was next to him. And I was like, no, I'm going to have to sit next to that guy that took my song. And anyway, so I sat down, I was like, "Hi, how are you?" And he's like, "Hi, how are you?" And then it was actually a really bad sound system. So we both have a very good ear for music. So I said, "I don't like the sound system. I don't want to sing in this competition." He said, "Me either." So we ended up back at that same pub. And then I actually started talking to him and I realised he was a really nice person. And we began dating and then, things got serious and we ended up starting our own karaoke business. And then from there, it turns out we have very matching voices. So our harmonies were really good. So we ended up having another business called Two Divas Duo. And the Two Divas is about, that moment and how we met. I was being a diva, and we had that business for 5 years. So we sang in pubs and clubs and private groups.
So if your love life was a movie, it would be Grease Lightning.
Maybe.
I love that story.
Yeah. So and then from there, did lots and lots of different jobs. I'm one of those people that kind of go from job to job because, as anyone that knows an entrepreneur, like you get bored really easily. So if you're working for someone else, once you've worked it out, it's boring. But anyway, at this particular time, I was working in a cigarette shop. And every Thursday, the local aged care home would bring in their residents to buy all their stuff in the shopping centre, and they'd come to my cigarette shop. And I used to get in trouble from my boss because I would take way too long talking to the elderly. And then again, I went home and I said to my husband, "Wouldn't it be good if I could, turn the singing into..." Like if I could just volunteer my time and go and sing for the elderly. So I went to that. That was Peninsula Village in Umina, and I went there.
That's ground zero.
Ground zero. And I said to them, could I volunteer my time? And so I did that. I did one concert, and then they said, "We'll pay you." And I was booked out for every month for that first year, and then that just word of mouth. So it was 6 years that I did that. But it's funny where life takes you, hey?
Yeah.
It's like nothing has ever happened in any way that I would have expected.
But you've always followed the path that was true to yourself.
Yes.
And what you were able to put forth out into the universe and provide value.
Yes.
So what was that song that you both sang?
Play That Funky Music.
Was that your wedding song too? Is that
our wedding.
Our song? Is that your thing?
Well, it's kind of, we have a few our songs, but everyone that knows us knows the story. I actually got it. I sang it.
Do you want to build out a few bars now?
Of course I do.
Yeah, do it.
Play that funky music, white boy. Play that funky music, white. Darren will always say that he sings it better, which, to be honest, don't tell him, but he does.
We'll cut that out so he'll never finds out. Is there anything in this podcast anything we haven't covered yet, any message you want to get across?
Yes. I think that I really hope that out of this, interview that you've done with me, that people become aware of the people around them, so the elders around them. So, you might be in the shopping centre and there's, somebody that looks like they might be struggling. Please go and say, hi, how are you? Are you okay with that? Can I help? I think that as a community, it's like that saying, it takes a village. People say that around children. I believe it's the same thing. I really think that I want everyone to view the elderly as, how can I be there for them? So it might be your neighbour, it might be someone that you meet down the road. Please just say hi and ask them if they're okay. And the more that we are aware, I feel that sometimes older people are invisible and we don't see them, and they need to be seen and heard. And you never know that you talking to that person that day might be the only conversation that they have that day. So that's the message that I want to get across.
I love that. Julie, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
You are
Had a
very
great conversation with you.
welcome. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.